Hello, brothers and sisters, and welcome to day 279 of the Chronological Read Through the Bible. Today we're back in Luke chapter 8, and Luke chapter 8 really is a packed chapter out of the Bible. And many of the accounts in this chapter build one upon another in that you can see this transformation. And we're going to get really a little deeper into that tomorrow, because there's a story or an event which is coming up that's going to really meet together with a part of what Jesus and the disciples experienced in the boat upon the Sea of Galilee. Well, I want to pick back up where the Lord has just explained or really told the Bible lesson of the casting of the seeds, and now the disciples want it explained. They want to know, what does this parable mean? And I touched a little bit on this yesterday. I just wanted to go a little deeper, is that I wanted to touch on one, the seed is the Word of God. And that seed is not something we can create, not something we make, but it comes from the Master himself. He is the one who gives us the seed. And then we go forth and we scatter it. But we oftentimes don't really know what type of soil that seed's going to fall upon. Now, I know somebody would say, well, that doesn't make sense with farming. Well, this is a spiritual farm. And when you cast those seeds, you're throwing them, and some may end up on very fertile soil, while others end up on the pathway, as it speaks of. And that pathway, the birds of the air come and they gobble up that seed, right? Or what if it falls on the rocky ground or falls among the thorns? It's so many different avenues that we could see. I spoke with you about my time as a missionary, and at times it was literally like to take the gospel into an area where it really had not been before, or it had only just haphazardly been there. And I say that because I've been in areas where someone had come in and preached, but there had never been any discipleship take place. And this is critical. And I realize this is a little little soapbox maybe message here, but we have got to make disciples. And oftentimes, especially in modern day evangelism, it got to where it was this mindset of we just go, we preach, we scatter the seed, and we walk away. That's not what Jesus told us to do. He told us to make disciples. And a disciple is you are helping that person dig that deeper foundation to build their life upon the rock. And also, just because you're discipling somebody does not mean that person is a Christian or will become one. And we know this because even one of Jesus' disciples did not follow him in the end. So then you would say, well, what do I do? Well, all we do is preach. And that's the aspect where we're scattering the seed. And as you're in that process of making disciples, some of them may land on the road, some of them may land among the rocks, and others may land among the thorns. But the ones we greatly rejoice in are those that land on the good soil, because they will what? They will produce 110 times as much. So the Lord has shared this word, and I just want you to consider the disciples receiving this, and I wonder what they thought at that time. Well, now the disciples are on their way back to the Sea of Galilee. But as he was telling this parable towards the end and explaining it to them, I almost left this part out. He's telling them the seed in the good soil in verse 15. These are the ones who have heard the word and in honest and good heart and hold fast and bear fruit with perseverance. Perseverance. So I just want you to remember there's times that we're going to definitely face the world coming against us. Will you persevere? Well, part of that depends on if you're in good soil. And it's very much still that picture of building your house upon the rock, right? It's if you're in good soil, your roots are going to go deep. You're going to have the nutrients that you need and grow. So then he says, now, no one after lighting a lamp covers it over with a container or puts it under a bed, but he puts it on a lampstand so that those who come in may see the light. Now, there are some who they claim to have a walk with the Lord, but you never see it. And it's like they're keeping that lamp hidden. But this says no one does that. And this next verse that I'm about to read, and this is why I really wanted to come to this part, we oftentimes put this verse at a different place, meaning that someone's sins will be exposed. But I want you to think about that lamp on the lampstand again. For nothing is hidden that will not become evident, nor anything secret that will not be known and come to light. So take care how you listen, for whoever has, to him more shall be given. And whoever does not have, even what he thinks he shall have, or it shall be taken away from him. So I just want you to think about where it's speaking of that nothing is hidden that will not become evident. That's in both directions. You can't hide your walk with the Lord. And if you're not seeing that walk with the Lord, then it's going to be exposed that that person doesn't have a walk with the Lord. And that may be exposed by when you see tragedy hit in that person's life, what comes out of them. I've said to you before, I could hold up this glass here, or this Yeti mug, and you don't know what's in it. It could be water, it could be coffee, it could be sweet tea, it could be Coca-Cola, guarana, it could be any number of things. But if I spill it, you'll have a better idea of what's in it, right? Or if I should shake it and let some of it start flying out, you'd have a good idea of what's in it. Well, that's what our spiritual life, or our life in general, is like. And when tragedy hits, which comes to everyone, there's no one that never is affected by life events, that's when you see what's inside of them. Is it the Lord, or is it the world? Now, as Jesus gets into this boat, the disciples, remember, many of them were fishermen. They head out into the waters, and there's Jesus asleep. Probably a long day, tired. Did he not know what was coming? I think he did. I think it's a time of testing. But as this storm hits, I'm sure these fishermen had experienced storms similar to this before. They'd probably heard of people who had died in storms like this, new people who had died in storms similar to this. But I'm going to tell you, I think that this is not just an ordinary storm upon the sea, because Jesus is on his way to fight a spiritual battle, or rather to free someone from a spiritual battle and bondage. Now, we're going to get to that part tomorrow. I just want you to set that to the side. I believe that this is a satanic attack to try to hinder the Lord and his disciples. But it's about to be a moment of building their faith, because they're going to wake him saying, "Do you not care? We're all going to die." And he's going to stand up and calm the wind and calm the sea. And this is going to really shake them to their core. We will have seen in the other Gospels surrounding this where it's spoken of as a sign of Jonah coming in the last days. Jesus, in a way, is that picture where Jonah, he was what? Asleep in a boat, and the storm came. But he couldn't control the wind and the waves. Jonah didn't have that authority, or at least didn't trust in the Lord to do that through him. But Jesus has that authority, and this shakes the disciples. I want you to realize, though, as you come to the storms in your life, it's not if, but it's a matter of when those storms rise up against you, will you trust the Lord for His deliverance? Do you believe that He can calm the storms in your life? I hope you do. I hope that your faith is built to the point that you say, I'm built upon the rock, and even in the worst case that could come, I'm going to stand firm because He has it. He's not going to let you experience anything that's so great or so overwhelming that you can't pass through those waters, through that storm of life with Him. Brothers and sisters, I hope your day's going well. Until tomorrow, God bless.